You're listening to season 1, episode 3 of MegAnne's Not a Parent But. And today we're talking through it will be known as my favorite part of the framework, which is the E, and it stands for empowerment. This means empowering children in their decision making and choice making. And I just got to take a deep breath because I love it so much. Growing up, imagine if you were to grow up as a child feeling empowered, supported, knowing that you're going to be held accountable to and knowing that you're going to have to take responsibility for those choices, and not in a harsh way, but in a positive way, in an empowered way. How different would things be for you? Like, how amazing would your confidence be, your sense of capability, your relationship to your parents and your peers? Oh, I love it. And today I share one of my all-time favorite stories. Hope you enjoy. Hey friends, welcome to MegAnne's Not a Parent But, the podcast hosted by me, MegAnne. And I'm a parenting coach with almost 20 years experience helping parents raise their children, especially the strong-willed ones. I have been described as the perfect blend of Mary Poppins meets Nanny 911, and I love to help parents drink hot coffee, stop yelling, and learn how to truly enjoy raising their strong-willed children. My goal is by sharing my views, my beliefs, and my tips that I can help empower you to parent more confidently in removing fear-based punishments and learning how to lean into the kind and firm approach of parenting with kindness. So glad to have you here. If you love what you hear, make sure to let me know by taking a screenshot and sharing on Instagram. My handle is Be Kind Coaching, and I love a tag. I like to say that it's my love language, and I want to connect to you. I want to know, what parts did you like? What parts resonate with you? What parts do you feel like everybody needs to hear? I want to know that. So let me know. So make sure to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. All right. Without further delay, let's get into today's episode. All right. So what is one thing that can connect every human being on the planet together? My answer to this question comes from a member of Kind Club, and her name is Elodie, and she's a second grader. And she said this a couple months ago to me. And it just is like, oh yeah, Elodie, you get it. You get me, you get this whole thing, you get the game, and I want to share it with you. And she said, you're not human if you haven't made a mistake. And I'm just going to say it again. You're not human if you haven't made a mistake. I love that sentiment that she shared. And if you don't know, Kind Club is an after-school nonprofit that I started, and it helps children work through mistakes. We work on a community project together, and it just naturally pings up so many opportunities to talk through problem solving and connection and communication with peers, and just really help foster a growth mindset. And so the project we were working on before, when she said this, was we were making some project for the school. And when I asked her to make some signs to catch people's attention, this is what she drew. This was her poster. And it still gives me goosebumps. It's so good. So it's mistake making. Mistake making is just part of the process of being human. It's one of the best ways we learn. The other way is through play and mistakes. It helps us wire our brain, and it helps children wire their brains so that they can learn from those mistakes without hiding or feeling shame or being shifted into that lower brain. It's the process of trial and error and correction. So I guess the bigger question is, how can we use these moments as caregivers, as parents, as teachers, as adults in a child's life? How can we use these moments of mistakes as safe moments to learn? It's a powerful question. And for me and for my community, it all comes down to safe failures. And it's allowing our role as the caregiver to be shifted away from like making them learn the lesson, like shaking my finger and like, you're gonna learn this lesson, into holding space and connecting to children, helping them process through, helping them regulate their emotions by knowing about their emotions, kind of working through this moment so that they can, learn the lesson. And so to help highlight and illustrate this lesson, I want to share with you one of my favorite stories, which comes from a time with my niece, who she's 18 now, and she's a freshman in college. And I've actually hired her on to do a little bit of work for me with this podcast. And I love how it came full circle. But I learned so much from being her aunt and just being in her life. And so this story comes from when she was about 7, and we were driving down the road and I was taking her out for lunch. And when we were driving, she lived about 2 miles away from a Subway. And as we were driving, I said, "Hey girl, have you ever," I call her Hey Girl. I said, "Hey girl, have you ever ordered your own sub from Subway?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're in luck. Today's the day you're going to learn how to do this. It's so exciting." And she was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, this is the day and I'm going to be here for you. And, it's going to be great, but we're going to do it together." And um, we just I walked her through the process. I prepared her. I told her, all the things to expect. And we practiced how she was going to order her sandwich. And she was nervous, but I told her I was there for her. And if she had any questions, she could help me. But, this was her, like, she could do this. I was setting her up. And I didn't know it at the time, but I just thought it was important. And so we get into Subway and we walk up to the counter and I order my sub, and then it comes time for Catherine to order hers. So I was modeling before her how to order, how to talk, so that she knew she could be prepared. And she got up to the counter and she ordered a meatball sub. And when the man behind the counter asked what toppings she would like on the sub, she said mayonnaise. And I remember it so clearly. The man behind the counter and myself, we both kind of like looked at each other, and then we looked back at her, and I said to her, "Hey girl, are you sure mayonnaise? Just checking in, just making sure," because I knew that she was stressed in this moment. I knew that her brain was flooded. And she said, "Yeah, I want mayonnaise, TT." So we're like, all right. And the guy behind the counter again checks, and he's like, "So I'm putting mayonnaise on the sub." And we're like, "Yep, go for it. Put the mayonnaise on it." And in that moment, once I saw the mayonnaise go on the sub, I knew something. I knew that she didn't really mean mayonnaise. I knew that she was going to be extremely upset when she realized that she didn't mean mayonnaise. And it was in that moment that my role switched. And I was thankful that I was attuned to it. My role switched from helping her order her sub to helping her recover from making a mistake. And so we checked out and we drove home, and she was talking about how she was going to get a blanket and we were going to put it out in the front yard, and then we're going to eat our subs and it's going to be great. We just had this like whole thing set up. And the entire time she was getting more excited, I knew that my role was to put on my air mask so that when she lost it, I could help her work through it. So we get home, we lay out the blanket, and we're in the front yard, and she unwraps it and she takes a big bite, and then she screams out, she's like, "I didn't mean mayonnaise. This is disgusting. I meant cheese." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I bet you that does not taste good then. If you meant cheese, but you ordered mayonnaise, like that was a mistake. Yeah, that sucks." And she got upset and she wanted, she demanded a new sub. To which I replied, "Yeah, great news. You can get a new sub the next time. There will be another time you can order, your sub with cheese, not mayonnaise, because you learned that mayonnaise, you didn't like mayonnaise." And then she said she wasn't going to eat. And I said, "Okay, you don't have to eat this, but this is what's for lunch." And she, as she was calming down, as I was helping support her and kind of just work her through it, it took some time. I, I said, "Is there a way that we can fix this? What would fix this?" And she said that she could go and get a spoon and scrape it off. I said, "That's a great idea. Look at you being resourceful. So good." And she went in and grabbed a spoon and scraped it off and ate it. And I'm sure that she was begrudging when she ate it. She didn't want to eat it. She didn't like it. she did it, not because I made her do it, but because she problem solved and she was proud. That sense of capability again kicked in, that she was proud that she figured it out. And I feel like the next time we went to Subway, then she knew what to order. And she learned that through making that mistake. And it was a moment for me that I did not have to layer on any more shame, any more humiliation. I did not need to make her feel any worse about eating mayonnaise on a meatball sub. Like, she already felt pretty shitty. Like, I didn't have to add on to anything other than help create this space that she could, learn from that mistake. And I think it's such a powerful, that's where I came up with the term like safe failure. And we, in my program, we call it like eating the mayonnaise sub. Like, there's so many moments that we eat mayonnaise subs, right? Brain break moment. I know I can go way deep and I can like get there quickly. So let's take a little pause, a little moment to take a deep breath in and out. And take a moment to let you know that this episode is sponsored by me, MegAnne, and it is brought to you by my amazing parenting program vault. You can find it at my website at bekindcoaching.com. And the parenting vault is chock full of all of my programs and resources to help you gain the confidence, the connection, and the community that you're looking for in helping you raise your kind family. Make sure to go and check it out. And inside you can find my free parenting style quiz called How Kind Is Your Family? So it's 7 easy questions. You can go and take it and find out, are you the too kind parent, the too firm parent, or the kind and firm parent? Just make sure to download the guide so that you can get all of the assets and the liabilities delivered right to your inbox. All right, without further ado, let's take one more deep breath and get back to it. In, out. Let's go. But I thought it was such a valuable moment between us because I could have stepped in and I could have intervened in the store and I could have said, no. I know for a fact you do not want mayonnaise on that sub. Get this girl some cheese. And I could have just totally overwritten her, which could have done 2 things. Either she would have like dug in, if your child's a strong-willed, like this is how I would have reacted, dug in and been like, no, I want the mayonnaise on my sub. I love the mayonnaise on my sub. And then I'd be 35 still eating meatball subs with mayonnaise out of spite because I was challenged and that power was going to be taken away from me and I was going to dig in more. Or it could have done, another outcome could have been that she would have then started to question herself and question all of her decision making, always looking to the adult to check in. Like, is this right? Did I mean this? Is this the right way? Is this what I want to order? Am I doing the right thing? And I really want to believe that in that moment, she learned like she could take risks. She should do scary things. She could be brave. She could make a mistake and she could learn through it. And without grave costs, like she learned that lesson at 7, not at 35, which I think a lot of times we're eating mayonnaise subs for a long time as adults, because I know that I've eaten a lot of mayonnaise subs over and over again until I calm myself down and look to say like, oh, I need to do something differently. And I think it's such a powerful metaphor. I shared this once in a group setting with entrepreneurs, and someone came up to me afterwards and she said, well, wouldn't you be pissed that she wasn't gonna, that you were gonna waste that money? And I said, well, to be honest, it was $3.50. So if her 6-inch sub that cost me $3.50 was going to help teach this lesson, I think that that's actually a pretty cheap lesson, because I know from my experience from clients sharing me that these lessons can get really expensive. These lessons could be a car. These lessons can be a credit card. These lessons can be, a pet. These lessons can be their favorite toy that they take to school and lose, things that can't be replaced. A sub from Subway is a really cheap way to learn this lesson. So I share that story with you of, how can we create moments of safe failures in our life, but in our child's life, where we start to slow down and process through and problem solve through, learning that lesson through it, looking for those moments of safe struggle, those moments where we allow the suffering instead of inflicting the suffering, which is a process. I totally get it. It's hard. It can be, let me rephrase it. It can be hard to start this, but when you start this process, it is freedom and it is strength and it is empowerment and it is confidence. It's the switch from protection of failure to protection through failure. It shifts that role for the caregiver, for the adult, that it's building and strengthening those muscles of problem solving, of resilience, of decision making, and eliminating the need for humiliation, punishment, shame, blame, pointing fingers, defensiveness, all of these like icky feels. And it could be all yours for $3.50 and a lot of practice. But I think it's such a powerful way to start to implement, those questions that we talked about in episode 2, those questions of, are they in grave danger? For my niece, was she in danger? No, she was not. Was she going to be upset? Yes. But was it going to bring her pain? Was she eating, raw chicken? No, she wasn't doing anything that was going to cause her bodily harm. Bodily discomfort, emotional discomfort, yes, but not bodily harm. The second question is it a missing skill? Yeah, it was a missing skill. She needed to, practice ordering. She, is a missing skill of knowing her order, of, doing that for herself, standing up for herself, and also learning how to be resilient through a mistake. That's another skill. And then the third question, when did I want her to learn that skill? Immediately. I wanted her to learn that skill at the age of 7 for $3.50 to help guide her towards, looking to those mistakes as opportunities to learn, which, if you're catching a theme here on this podcast, that's the podcast. That's it. Learning how to use these opportunities that daily come into our lives and come into our children's lives. And how can we start to use those opportunities rather than, trying to teach the lesson? Because as soon as we try to teach the lesson, especially to a child who has strong wills, as soon as we start to teach that lesson, oh my gosh, they will shut down. They will become the person that eats the mayonnaise sub over and over again just to prove that they're right, that they love this mayonnaise sub. And I know this because this is me. This is me. And I think that that's what gives me an edge in talking about this concept, is that I've been there. I've worked with these children. I've done these things. I know this from my own life. And I know the differences I know the feelings of being, protected through failure and being protected, from the failure, or protecting myself from the perceived failure, which is kind of where my life took me, was this armor building up of this armor to protect myself through the perception of failure or through the judgment of failure. I love what I do, guys. And I hope you did too. I hope you got something from today's episode of, understanding what a safe failure is and looking to how to apply it to your life. Some of the common things that I see is, running down the sidewalk. Running down the sidewalk is a really great way to start to utilize safe failures, because naturally they're going to fall and they're going to scrape their knee. And instead of saying things like, you're okay, stand up, that protection from that failure, switch it to, yeah, this hurts. You were running and you fell and you didn't like it. How can you keep your body safe? Shift them into the problem solving mode. I've done this as early as, 16 months. Then they start to hold your hand and walk, because they feel empowered to make that choice. This can be done too with homework, with chores, with cleaning up, with, all of those things. So many ways to apply this. If you use safe failures, or you have used a safe failure, or if you're practicing it, let me know. Like I say in every episode, send me a DM on Instagram at Be Kind Coaching and let me know what your takeaways are from this episode and how do you see that you can apply it in your life. I love cheering on everyone who's open up to doing this work, and I can't wait to see it grow and grow and grow. So hope you enjoyed. Next episode, episode 4, is all about being the too kind parent. What is that about? What does it mean? What does it look like? What are the assets and the liabilities? And we're going to dig into it next time. All right. See you later. Bye, friends. All right, friends, you have been listening to MegAnne's Not a Parent, but the podcast for parents raising the strong-willed. I am so thankful that you have taken a little bit of time out of your busy day to settle in and have a chit chat with me. It's literally my favorite thing to talk about. I could talk about it all the time, so that's why I started this podcast. So thank you so much. If you found value in this podcast, please, please, please do me a favor and take a screenshot and share it with me. You can share it on Instagram. You can share it on Facebook. Just make sure to tag me so that I can see it. Like I said, my love language in episode 1, my love language is gifts of quality time, and a tag on social media or a review of this podcast or any sort of interaction and engagement, man, you're filling my love bucket. So thank you so much. I can't wait to chat and connect to you, and see you next time. Bye, friends.